Wow. You know, I actually thought it'd be bigger than that. They said there's not much room in the things, but I thought it'd be a bit more than that. What do you reckon? All right, well, on your way.
So today on inCARnation, Stu and I have something a little different. It's a 2017 Ford Mustang. These cars have been around since 1964. They have a great heritage. This is the 5-litre V8. Of course, it's a manual. I've never actually driven one before, and I'm really looking forward to trying it on the road today.
Tomorrow in America, it's election day. So we're celebrating all things American today with a Ford Mustang, 6th generation, big V8 up the front, a couple of ballsy, buffy guys at the car, manual gearbox. Yeah.
As I said in the introduction, I haven't driven one of these. I've driven the slightly later version. I was involved with the launch of that just a little while ago.
Yep.
So a little bit of an update from this car, but it's a great looking car.
They had a 10-speed automatic, didn't they? Versus this was a 6-speed.
10-speed automatic, which was, you know...
Is that a bit overkill?
A little bit of overkill, I think. It worked okay. Wasn't great on track. You could get a couple of laps on the racetrack before they overheated and went into a bit of a limp mode.
That's why the cops didn't use them.
Pretty much.
They also had a 2-star ANCAP crash rating, I think, for this model. Not very good. And I think the police went, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
But we don't have an overheating transmission because we've got one of these old-fashioned, what our American friends call a stick.
I have to say, it's a really nice manual transmission as well. Just the gears really positive, a nice short throw. It actually sits pretty flat in the corners too. I mean, the handling of the car is quite good.
I didn't like the steering. I felt like it chose its course and it really didn't want to move off it.
A little bit better in the sport mode. It does feel a little over-assisted in the comfort and normal modes. I have the steering in sport. It makes it a little heavier. There's 3 settings.
And this engine setting mode switch on the left?
So we have here, we have normal, we have sport plus, and we have racetrack.
Hang on to my little model here because it was sliding around in the back. It's good, Mark. It's better than I thought.
It's actually quite nice to drive, isn't it? It's a really fun car. Sounds great, looks great. It's not super powerful. Handling is adequate.
Yeah.
Braking is adequate, but I think it's a really fun car. I would have to fix up the offset between the brake and throttle. It's terrible for getting a nice smooth gear change and a heel and toe. My foot slipped off the brake a couple of times while I've been shifting gears.
Not as loud as I thought. It's quite quiet in here.
Did you flinch there, Stu?
Yep. I saw the 35km/h sign.
I saw that out of my peripheral vision there. You had a little flinch.
My third hand grabbed the seat.
But I'll tell you what, the steering, whilst it does feel a little bit over-assisted at times, I like the ratio of the rack.
Yep.
You just don't have to turn the wheel a lot in these tight corners, you know, and I like that. I think a bit of spirited driving is what this car's suited for, isn't it?
You woke it up a bit.
Yeah.
It's like a good motorbike. When you start treating it with a bit of authority and say, this is what we're going to do, it goes, oh, okay, let's do it.
Absolutely. But these are the sort of roads this car's suited for. Really nice condition. The tarmac's smooth, really good hot mix there. I really like the way it handles. It's really impressed me actually. It's, you know, I've driven a few on the racetrack and sometimes on a track I find it a little soft, a little wallowy, but it's set up really nicely for the road. For a spirited drive on the road, a lot of fun. And they're very retro, aren't they? And that's kind of really cool. One of the cool things about this car.
A lot of people say, nah, not enough, I'm going the whole Roush. And, you know, 550, 650 horsepower, no problem, with a big blower on it. But I don't think it needs it, mate. It's nice.
No, it doesn't need it.
You know, of all the 6 generations of the Mustang, the first generation looked great. And then the second and third and fourth, they just got worse and worse. They got heavier, they got bigger.
Yeah.
By the mid-80s, the cars looked...
They lost their way in the 80s, like pretty much every car in the 80s was,
Yeah.
you can kind of forget about.
But the fifth generation cars were made from 2005 to 2014, and they were a good car. They, the GT500, they're really muscular, angular cars. They were horn.
They really have a great following and a great history. It's a car that just has such a wonderful history and great motorsport background.
Mark 1, the GT, the Boss 302, the Boss 429, Cobra, the Bullet, the Shelbys, and the Roush.
Yep.
So all these different names associated with them. Not to mention all famous racing drivers. Who can forget, best of all, Dick Trickle? You know Dick Trickle?
Yes.
Stock car racer, 67 wins in stock cars.
Great name.
Oh mate, you cannot get a better racing car name than Dick Trickle, except possibly Rochelle Splatt in drag racing, Will Power in IndyCar,
Yeah.
Scott Speed in Formula 1, Cal Norton Jr.
I've never heard of Cal Norton Jr. Who the hell's that?
He's Ricky Bobby's offsider.
Yeah, that's why I don't know. I've seen probably, like I said, about maybe 10 minutes of that movie before I put my foot through the television.
You are missing a treat.
Tight corner there, look right through, get back on the throttle. Bit of rev limiter there, Stu.
Yeah, I feel that fairly soft limiter too.
Very soft, yeah. It crept up pretty quickly actually. The motor spins up really nicely, but really nicely balanced. You can just get back on the throttle, drive it through the corner well.
Mate, this car is big. This is 1,770 kilos, and it's the size of a full-size family sedan. It's 19-20 mils wide and it's 4.75 metres long. It's a big car and heavy, and yet, is it a sports car? Almost.
It's really well. I mean, it's very neutral, isn't it? It doesn't want to push in the front. I mean, obviously, it's got a lot of power. It's got a lot of torque. If you get on the gas in a big way, the back's going to step out. But I've still got the stability control on.
Thank you.
I think I would have this car in sport all the time. In this tight corner here, it's quite nice.
Power's good.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need more.
Not really. I think it's
306 kilowatts.
There's more than enough power in this car to have fun with.
For the chassis.
But, a tight sort of hairpin corner here, go down to second, just look through the corner. And there's not a lot of lock on that steering wheel, is there, to get around that corner?
You almost managed a proper heel and toe then. It was pretty good.
I'm getting better with it, but I need a double jointed ankle to actually get that right. This is your corner, Stu.
Yeah, whoa! Crikey. Crikey, George. Yep.
As well, doesn't it?
It's good.
What a fun car. It's not a massive rocket ship, it's not as fast as a lot of other cars that are out there, but it's really a lot of fun to drive. I think there's quite a lot to like about this car, Stu. I think there's more than I thought there would be.
You know what I'm liking? This seat cooling thing.
Yeah.
You got 3 levels of heating. Ooh, toasty. And 3 levels of cooling. Yeah, this car's been a real godsend for Ford. Here's how the conversation would go. You go, darling, I took the Falcon down to the Ford dealer to trade it in on a new Fairlane, and they're not making them anymore. So they said, we've got this new family sedan. It's called the Ford Mustang. And you go, isn't that a sports car? And they go, no, look, 2+2. Easily get the kids in there. And he went, what motor's in it? They said, it's a V8, and it's a manual, and it's rear-wheel drive. And it's just like the one that Steve McQueen drove in Bullet. And he went, sounds like a plan.
Yeah. It's just really pleasing to see that Ford has not gone the same way that Holden's gone in this country, in Australia. We no longer have Holden, we no longer have General Motors, they don't exist anymore. But Ford is still bringing in some really interesting cars and, good on them. And I think in Australia until, 2015, we didn't have Mustangs, did we? So if you wanted one, you had to import one.
Yep.
Essentially.
Except for a brief period.
It was that brief period, wasn't it? But these things came out, they were reasonable, everyone wanted one, and so many people, I think it was a bit of an itch they had to scratch.
Yeah.
I want to own a Mustang at least once in my life, and a lot of people have done that. Whether they go and buy another one after that, probably debatable, and that's what we're probably seeing in the sales right there. But you'd have to say, this car, the Mustang and the Ford Ranger, are probably the cars that have kept Ford Australia
Yep.
out there on the map. And
Well, 64% of cars that Ford sell are Ford Rangers. Everybody loves the dual cabs now. And number 2 is the Everest, so they're big SUVs and dual cabs. But this is the 3rd best-selling car. And now's the time to get one, because that big rush 3 or 4 years ago, well, those leases are running out now, so there's plenty on the market. So get in there, sunshine. A car like this, you can start in the 40 grand region. You'll find 300 of these FM and FN Mustangs. Of those, half of them are automatics. 289 are V8s, and 11 of them are the pokey little 2.3 litre force. You don't want one of those?
no.
If you're going to buy a Mustang, do not buy the 4-cylinder. People will laugh at you. I love the cool seats. Not that I've ever had anyone blow gently up my bottom, but I imagine if somebody did, that's what it would feel like. And because it's American, the controls are light. Light steering, light, easy braking.
Yeah.
So not surprising to see quite a few women driving these cars.
So you've had the aircon seats going all day.
My ass is on fire.
You needed to warm up a little bit with the heated seats, so I thought I'd just give you a bit of a go at that. Back to the aircons, Joe.
Mate, I'm going to turn them both on and let them fight it out.
Might short the whole system out.
I wonder what happens if you push both buttons at the same time.
That's the ejector seat. Don't do that.
Already today we've had 3 people stop us and make positive comments about the green and gold.
That's a patriotic Aussie car, isn't it? Green and gold.
19-inch rims on this car with P0s. They're the original fitment tyres. As you can see, he's upgraded the wheels. The original wheels were black, and before you ask, the stripe was also black.
Yeah.
Only an intermediate spec tyre, but they're good.
Oh, they're hanging on really well. Those Pirellis are working really nicely.
Yeah. That's at 45. Oh. This is what you call the Daniel Ricciardo neck muscle exercise.
It's a lot of car for the money now, isn't it? It's a second-hand car.
Started 40 grand for a car like this.
Yeah, pretty reliable, really good value.
Yeah. Thank you, Kerry, for the loan of your car. Interior. It's obviously built to a price, but it's got a lot of throwbacks to
Yeah, a lot of retro.
1964.
This is cool. This is cool. This model had the older sort of analog dash, and the slightly later one went for the LCD dash. Was kind of cool, but I know a lot of the aficionados didn't like that. They like the retro look, and I get that.
It looks tough.
Yeah.
You know, when I was looking on car sales at the 300 cars for sale, I was dazzled. By the end of the night, my head was spinning from all those oranges and yellows and reds and blues. You won't lose it in the car park at Westfield. People really like it.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people come up and talk to us about, particularly the green stripe on this car, which is not standard. Yeah, pretty patriotic Aussie colour scheme that we have going on here, so it's kind of cool. But yeah, really positive car, gets a lot of good energy around it. And I think if I were to give my summary of the day, it's a little bit overboosted in every area, like a lot of American cars are. It's been a lot more fun than I thought it would be. It's a really enjoyable car to drive. It's got more than enough power. The brakes are okay. It sits pretty flat in the corner. It's very neutral, and a really fun car to drive.
You'd think, hey, it's a big car with a V8. It's long, it's wide, it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's got to be able to take 4 people. Not necessarily. How are you guys back there? Can you got headroom?
It's no good for me. This is not working for me. The other one's over here.
Oh hey, you made it right through to the end of the video. Congratulations. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, please share it with your motoring friends. And above all, click the little subscribe thing down here so you can see the latest videos when we bring them out, hopefully each week. I look forward to seeing you soon.